Well, good morning on another lovely sunny morning in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So we've left the Mostar area, Balaji or Balagi, depends who you speak to, which was an amazing location, and I do recommend that you go to that campsite that we're at for the last couple of nights. Auto Camp Balagi. It's on part for night like normal. So we're heading north now today, and we've taken, you can go either through Yetsa, but we've been through there once before, or you can go through a place called Tomislavgrad, for those people who remember it, TSG, where 15 Squadron Royal Engineers and 2 Field Hospital were based. And on my map, my scribbled map that I used to get around the place, my tourist map as it was, I've got a circle around Kupres, which is just ahead of you now as we go into Tomislavgrad. So I don't know exactly where they were in Tomislavgrad, but they were around this area.
After 300 meters, cross the roundabout.
Over to the right hand side, that large open area of ground was where Lipa was. Lipa was a divisional supply unit. It was huge, but right now it's
roundabout and take the second exit.
It's an old hangar that's left. It's small, and because the DSU, the divisional supply unit, was all fields. It was bladders of fuel and ammunition storage and food storage, and it was massive, sprawling area. But Woody and I and Adi Whitaker and I, we used to love going to Lipa because there was a bar there, and in the early days of just arriving to Bosnia, there was nowhere else in the area that we were allowed to go and drive in that had a bar. So yeah, when it comes to details to the divisional supply unit at Lipa, we used to like volunteer for it. You have to forgive the indulgence, these are clearly my memories. It's my video, so I can pretty much do what I want. But I'm sure those listening to this will, you know, it'll provoke the memories of Lipa and TSG.
Right, M15 Kolo.
Yeah, so Kolo is the location where I had the 15 Squadron and 2 Hospital. Like I say, I didn't really put any information into that because it didn't affect me.
Turn right.
So Tomislavgrad, it looks, you go straight on here. So back in the day in '96, you could go straight on, or you could go right, and basically going right goes round Tomislavgrad. But on this one occasion we didn't go right, and there was a convoy of 3 Fodens, big trucks with shipping containers on the back, and it gets really tight through there, or it did get really tight through Tomislavgrad. And that was I was driving, and I had Adi Whitaker on the back, stood on top of the shipping container with a bass broom or like a brush, picking the phone cables up and the electric cables and sort of guiding them over so they didn't touch the shipping container, because there were people living in Tomislavgrad or TSG, and obviously we didn't want to affect their communications or their electricity supply, so it took about an hour and a half to get through Tomislavgrad. With Scouse Morel was there, he was one of the drivers. He was on top, or one of the drivers, I can't remember. And we had, you know, the lads up on top of the shipping containers with brushes, picking the wires up and guiding them over so they didn't short out. So Tomislavgrad or TSG is quite a central point for us, because it was the route, you know, it was one of the main routes that we went through. And like I said before, Lipa was really important to us because of the divisional supply unit, and we were up there quite a lot getting ammunition. So Lipa was one of the coldest places that I have ever been to on this earth. And people who have been to Norway, yes, I accept that. I've not been to Norway, but this was the coldest place. In fact, what happened was we took our boots off. Woody and I shared a cab. And we took our boots off, put our boots on the dash overnight, and in the morning we couldn't get the boots off the dash. They were iced onto the dash. It was just so cold. And in fact at Lipa was the place that on the Foden drops you had a fuel heating system. It sounded really good, but there was a but. When it was really, really cold, you turned on the fuel heating system, you heated it up for half an hour, then you started the drops, the vehicle itself, but it wasn't quick enough to heat the fuel through the pipes. So in about 500 meters at normal speed, it would start to go you know, conk out. And what you can't do is run out of diesel in a diesel vehicle, because that is just emotional, bleeding through injectors and all that kind of dirty work, you know, filthy work. So we'd stop after 500 meters and we'd try again, and we'd have a conversation between ourselves, and then we decided that, yeah, the fuel line heater was able to de-wax the fuel, but it wasn't able to supply any great amount to the injectors. So from then onwards, it was either, okay, stop where we are and just wait a while till the fuel warmed up, or you put a heat source underneath the tank to warm it up. Let it be you know, a cooker. Remember diesel? Diesel ignites at 500 degrees, right? And it takes some getting there. And actually diesel ignites better under pressure than heat. So there was, you know, there's very little risk involved in that. So it crept along with a fuel line heater, crept along, and then eventually stopped, and then got out and then warmed the fuel up by other means, and I'm not going to officially say how we did that. And then we got back in the drops and cracked on, but it was so cold. It was just too cold for fuel line heaters. In fact, when I was at Bovington teaching the vehicle as a schools instructor, one of the things people raved about was a fuel line heater, and I was like, whoa, okay, yeah, it is good. It does de-wax the fuel, but not for very long. If it's really cold, it's just not that good. I suppose in Germany or places like that it would have been alright, but over here it didn't survive contact, as it were. Right, we're going to crack on now, and the next location we're going to go to is Kupres. Now Kupres, there's a few gun positions I'm going to take you to, if they're still there. It looks like they're still there on Google Maps. And there's also the place where you went through the tunnel, Kupres tunnel, and it's renowned, infamous for the weather being beautiful at one side and absolutely pouring down or snowing or icy, and vice versa as well. So, and there was like an RMP checkpoint there that you had to go through, book in, book out, before you went through the tunnel. So I'll take you to that location, the two gun positions, and then we'll be on our way. I also want to stop in Sipavo or Sipavo, where Paul Stableford was for quite a while. I've got his directions of where the hangars were, so we'll do a quick call in there before we crack on to Sandsky Most. But from Tomislavgrad or TSG, we'll catch you on the road. So we're on the way to Kupres, and I must mention that the photo that's up next is just outside Tomislavgrad or TSG, and basically it's quite iconic because people that were travelling backwards and forwards in those days, there's loads and loads of pictures of it. So back to the tour, January to July 1996. Kupres was probably the furthest gun position that we would deploy to with the AS90s in support of I4. And the picture I'm showing you now is this piece of film in front of you. How good is that? it's exactly the same location as you saw in the picture. I'll just flick it up again. See the archway and the beam on the left hand side, the white beam and the wall. There's obviously no glass in there because there was no glass in those days, it was all just blown up stuff. So I'm walking towards the actual angle that it was taken at, and I think it was about there. There's also another sort of image taken in this location, and that is in approximately this location. And that is this picture here. And that's I think that's Robbo, Klaus Roberts, and probably Lee Fannon, the way he's dressed. And I can't see who was in the CP door, but yeah, this is basically the location it was taken from. In fact, if I go back, it looks like the corner of that roof, so you'll have to just excuse me adjusting this. That looks like the light that's still there, but that corner of the roof there looks like that corner of the roof there, so that kind of makes sense. If I go like that, corner of that roof, you see the corner of the roof on the right hand side, flick back again, there's the curb, there's the shape of the curb, there's the roof on the right hand side, there's a swing of the curb, and there's the CP with Robbo and Lee Fannon outside. Now I think that's cool. I love that. We're going to crack on now to another location in Kupres that evokes similar kind of memories. So we've moved out of the sort of, we called it the petrol station gun position. We've driven through Kupres, and that is the way to Bogoniu. Now, for those of you who used to do the truck convoys, this is quite infamous, this tunnel, because it used to be brilliant weather at one side and absolutely pouring down, or snowy and icy and horrible at the other side. This place to the right hand side, this is an RMP checkpoint. Probably one of the coldest places on earth. All set up in here. Just calling Wendy Ford because we're actually in a lay-by and this place is huge to turn around, which I couldn't see. Here's Wendy coming in with a motorhome. Going to do a turn round, and then we're going to go the other way, because actually Sandsky Most is the other way from here. But I just wanted to come up here just to show you the, you know, old RMP location and the tunnel. And actually 4 Regiment RLC were based in Kupres at the time, and there was a lot of accidents. The weather was terrible. The boys and girls that they were asking to drive these massive, usually petrol or diesel tankers, massive trucks, much bigger than the Ford and IMLC that we were driving, kids driving them, inexperienced. And the most experienced drivers up here would still test it every day by the weather conditions, either in the heat or mostly in the snow, because up here it was It was like another planet. It was that bad in the winter. It was snow chain city, and you would see them sliding off the road left, right and centre into the ditches. And I remember one just being down there actually. That's what provoked the memory, just on the left hand side there, just in the ditch on its side, because there was just no experience. They'd taught them how to drive, they'd passed the test, and then they put them in these massive trucks and expected them to just crack on. So that's another memory. Yeah, we've parked up here. Woody and Eddie Whitaker and a few others, Scouse Morell, have parked up here quite a few times. There's a stop-off point between one side of the mountain range and another side of the mountain range. It goes to Begonio and Yaitsa and all that kind of area through the tunnel. And this way was towards Split and Glamoc and the rest of the valleys really. It was a major, I mean Kupres, there was a huge battle in Kupres. Very violent, very vicious, tank warfare, house to house. And that's pretty much why there was such a massive presence of forces here, either at RMP checkpoints or along the road. So you might remember me saying about communications. We had a little chat about communications a few videos ago, and there was one of the prime examples of how the radios didn't work was here. They had a massive tent set up here, just there, load of radios in it, and you're supposed to book in and book out. And when you book in and book out, they're supposed to radio your base location to say, yeah, they've made it so far, they're safe, they're moving on to the next location. Didn't work once. Didn't work once with us. We kept coming in here, and either they'd smile at you and say, yeah, we've logged you in, and they'll log you in a book, but never didn't transmit it, so your base unit didn't know. They just wrote it in a book. And when they tried to use the radios, it just wouldn't work. There was nothing. It was like white noise. Now, I'm no radio expert. I'm definitely no comms expert, as the people watching this that I know will understand. But it was kind of weird, you know. You got a brief at Glamoc, you must stop at Kupres, you must book in, book out, and you must ask them to contact us. We must know where you are at all times. We did try. It wasn't for the lack of trying, just the technology in those days and the distinct lack of HF that's needed in this terrain, and actually the inexperience using HF, if I'm honest, was more than evident. Right, so when we drove through Kupres, there was a load of roadworks, and I wanted to go to another gun position called the Factory gun position, which is on the other side of Kupres, where this picture was taken. But we're really having problems getting to it. We just spent half an hour driving round Kupres to try and get to this location, but it seems to be all dug up with roadworks. So we will try and get there, but if we can't, we're going to soldier on and we're going to crack on in the direction of Sanski Most. I'll catch you later. So this is we've moved on since the tunnel. So this was a gun position in 1996. It was called the Factory position, and that was the main entrance there. Now I could walk around a bit, but this is derelict, and I've got a few weird looks. But if you look at that building there, and you can see how the ridges are formed on the roof. It's the same ridges as this picture. So it's probably taken from the other end of this car park looking this way. I'm going to go down here a bit. Motorhome's just parked down there, abandoned in the middle of nowhere. Wendy's in it, so everything's fine. Get a few mucky looks, but there you go. there's also this blue building that we used to park near over here. We used to park the Fodens near it. And once upon a time there was two big silos here, blue ones, but they've gone. You've got to be careful because you get grates with no covers on them. But yeah, this is referred to as the factory location, gun position in Kupres. Pretty much as it was when we left. I mean, look. You can see by the picture the construction of the buildings are the same, nothing's changed. Round here was where the CP used to be, and the recce trucks. Look at that, I fancy falling down there. We used to park the Fodens down there. We weren't allowed inside because this Kupres has seen a lot of action, and there might have been booby traps, things like that, so we never went inside. Never went on the grass, never went inside buildings. You're asking for trouble if you started doing that. Unless they were cleared, obviously. Unless the RMP had been round, not the RMP, the Royal Engineers, and cleared it. So this is the last of the gun positions I'm going to show you from Kupres. Try and take a few stills now and we'll be on the road.
After 200 meters, turn left, Kupres Kibotna, then take the second right.
Just as we're driving through Kupres before we start doing the turns, in those woods over there was where 4th Regiment ROC were based, on like an old football pitch. Quite a compressed location, but they made it home. Visited a couple of times. Anyway,
turn left, then take the second right.
I better turn this off because I'm in town now. So for those that recognise it, this is Sipavo. We're now going to take you past where 2 AFA was and Brigade Headquarters. Okay, slow down, Wendy. Okay, it's going to be your next road on the left. Yeah, I presume so, yeah. Yeah, looks it. Yeah, next left, buff. So I've got these locations off Paul Stableford, so if they're wrong, please don't blame me. So we're going to go up here. This is... we'll be alright. Quite a steep hill. And an old motorhome. Anyway, we'll keep going up here. Straight across Wendy. Little bump. So these bumps here, if we get these wrong, it flips the back up. And then the bathroom's upside down when we stop next. Straight ahead. It's one of these dodgy priority roads, and if no one's coming, then you just put your foot down. Let's go. So coming up on the right hand side is where 2 AFA were. Just coming up to their location now, in there. to Armoured Field Ambulance. And in the next large building, well, that truck's pulling out, I presume. So two Alpha in there. And I presume in the next building, we should take our time because it's a bit tight up here. Keep driving, love. And in there was brigade headquarters for those people that were based in and around there. You'll remember that very well. Okay, up this road. I'm going to take you to another location now. Oh, so this might have been another military location here. So I'm going to film it because it is disused, and most of the locations that we're at, most of them are still disused. But we're going to find our way around here. So when we visited Kupres, I took Wendy round to see the factory location, and she's not been driving the motorhome long, autobahns, and actually she drove over Mount Igman, so kudos to that. But I actually had her drive up a grass lane, which didn't go down very well. So this doubles back on itself around to the left, Wendy, and we're gonna follow that road. So can you see a hard left here? Yeah, down there, please. It's like being a driving instructor again. There you go. Follow this down. Oh, shit. It's okay. It's all right. Just pull here, and there's plenty of space for him to go over on the left there. Happy days. Kafala. Off we go. Follow this down. Watch the overhang on the left. Stick to the left. Go left. Go left. Go left. Go left. Okay, you're all right. Going round to the left, following the track. Watch the trees on the left, please. You better slot through there. That's it. Left, please.
Is there anything coming?
Nothing to the right. The car coming to the left. Okay, off you go. So, another location that Paul pointed out. I wasn't here myself. I did visit quite a few times, but I couldn't remember where it was. Over on the left there, that building there is another ex-military location. And now behind the hedge, and more views of it to the left-hand side there. Yeah, another hangar being utilised for IFOR. Right, what I'm going to do now is switch the directions back on and let that take over now. Okay, now we're going to go on. Now you're still viewing those buildings to the left, just in case we were looking at the wrong locations. It's been a while, you know. And now we're going to crack on to Sanski Most. I hope you enjoyed Sipavo, and I hope the buildings were right.
After 200 meters, bear right, Nicole Tell, then turn left.
like I say, I just couldn't remember. I had to reach out to Paul Stableford or Stabs to get the locations. So as we went up the hill, it was 2 Alpha, then Brigade HQ, and then we've just seen the one here.
Bear right, then turn left.
I'm going to switch this off now because I need to give directions.